Hello everybody! Today I want to show you my version of an AFK wine farm. Before I start with a demonstration and an explanation, I first want to cover some theory behind wine growth and an explanation why some of the existing AFK wine farms aren't very good. If you want to skip that part, you can click that link here. In order to plan my farm, I first had to find out how fast vines grow. I placed 100 vines and did a 15 minutes test and counted the number of vines that grew. Here's a video of a time lapse. So, in total we got 70 vines in 15 minutes. That means on average a vine grows every 21 minutes. So as you can see, vine growth is very slow. And that's also the reason why some of the existing farms aren't very good. Here is for example the version of a big YouTuber. He said he built his farm in 15 to 20 minutes, and as you can see, not much thinking went into this. He built his farm way too small and it isn't expandable in any way. You go back and forth from left to right and only shear 9 vines in total. That means you can only get from this farm 25 vines per hour. If for example you want 100 vines, you would have to AFK for 4 hours in total. That's a lot. Let's see how long it takes to do it manually. As you can see, it took me only 75 seconds to shear 100 vines. So if I have to choose between 4 hours of AFKing or 75 seconds of manual labor, I choose the manual labor. Next, the version that claims to be the best AFK wine farm in 1.8. The rates are significantly better. You get about 170 vines per hour, which is still about 25 times slower than you would get with manual work. The good thing about this farm is that it is expandable. You could add the segment next to each other and make this farm a lot bigger. But the bad thing is there's only one refill station for shears. If you make this farm a lot bigger and would break your shears right after refill station, you would be a long time without shears. Also, what's not ideal is that you're sitting in a minecart. You can harvest vines a lot slower if you sit in a minecart. Here is a demonstration. I go into game mode 0 and harvest some vines while sitting in a minecart. You can only reach 2 vines in a row, and the harvest speed is very slow. Here's the direct comparison if you would stand on soil sand and not sit in a minecart. It's a lot faster and you can reach up to 4 vines in a row if you're standing right next to this block. So, finally let's see my AFK wine farm. It is expandable, you can make this a lot bigger. But this small setup will yield about 400 vines per hour. But you can make it a lot bigger. Over there, which I will show in the end of the video, is a bigger version. So first let's see a demonstration. So you're pressed against the wall by these pistons and can start harvesting the vines. After the water stream reaches its limit, you will step on this pressure plate and will be pushed along by those pistons. Also, here's a refill station for shears. If you break your shears and are without one, you will get a new one. As you can see, now I have 2. If I pass this, I will have 3. Normally you would fill it in inventory, of course, that you don't pick up the shears. And I got a new shear. Under the pressure plate is a hopper that transports the shear if I don't pick it up back into the system. After I reach the end of the farm, I will be further pushed along by those pistons here. I use stairs because they don't suffocate me. And I pushed again against the block to harvest the vines. And go back to the starting position. All I had to do was mirror the whole setup here. This chests here are storage for the shears. So you can dump a lot of shears in there and never run out. Okay. Now let's see a detailed explanation how this setup works. So here's a cut out version of each of the segments. This dropper, which is facing down, would shoot out the shears if I pass it, and this piston retracts the block. This block is only there that vines that would be placed here don't accidentally fall into the hopper if I harvest them. If I would travel here and harvest the vines here, so no vine can fall into this hopper. Also, there would be water and flowing the shears next to the other hopper, so they are guaranteed to stay in the system. So the way the shears are transported back, if they are collected by the hoppers, is here. Piston that is next to the pressure plate, or the hopper where the pressure plate is placed on, faces down and activates this dropper and also this dropper. And the shears, if it gets picked up by the hoppers, it's transported back to this dropper. And here's the storage. To make sure that no shears are transported in here first, this torch would turn off. Then this dropper is turned on, so there's enough time that the hoppers can transport the shears into there. And if this torch is turned back on, either this dropper is full, so no shear can be put into there, and then it remains here, or if it's empty, it will be transported in here. So that makes sure you never run out of shears. You can store, yeah, like 40 shears into there. So also the way this dropper is activated is via bot. This obsidian block here activates this dropper, and this piston is only there to update it. And here's the piston that pushes you further. It's just here a cauldron with a repeater, comparator, and this repeater setup. This is on 1 tick and this is on 3 ticks. So if you go there, through there, it gets extracted and retracted. So if you want to expand this farm, you only have to build these segments next to each other. What I forgot to mention is how the vines are picked up. In this small setup I just placed a line of hoppers here. Okay, and those pistons on the side to transport it further are very easy. Just a pressure plate and a setup with a little bit delay to activate those pistons. Alright, and now let's see the bigger version. So I built it 240 blocks long. If you play in single player, you would need a render distance of 16 chunks. And if you don't have that, you can also build the farm like next to each other, so it's more like a cube. What I did different here, instead of using 500 hoppers, I just have a line of minecarts running underneath that grab up the wines. And here's our unloading station. I will have a link in the video description where I show a tutorial how to build this one. It's a very fast unloading station. If it would fill up this hopper minecart with wines, it would be very fast unloaded. So one minecart is really enough to pick all the wines here. And here's just a distribution system. The wines are transported into these chests here. Also, what I did here is a central shear storage. Instead of refilling all those chests manually, I just have a minecart running above it, distributing all the shears. This minecart is activated via this pressure plate, so every time I make a full round it will be activated and distributing the shears. So, what I forgot to mention is this big farm could yield about 2,500 to 3,000 wines per hour, which is of course still a little bit slower than manual work, but yeah, you should get enough wines from that. Okay, that's all. Goodbye.